Welcome, beautiful soul. Welcome to Strawberry Shift, where we have enthusiasm for love. And today is day 15 of Celebrate Compassion. I'm so thrilled that you're here. Now, today's enlightening because today is where you are going to connect some dots. So we've been really going within and we've been using our intuition, some of our journalism skills, but we really have been going within. And today is about looking at our life and looking at some things that we've received and benefited from because of this person. So it might be obvious right away. And if it is obvious, I would invite you to expand on how you have benefited from this person being in your life. Specifically, here's the question. Okay, you ready? You're a pro. You're ready to ask yourself these hard questions, right? Here's the question that 97% of the world's population will not ask themselves, but you will, because you're at day 15. We're almost at the top. What are three things? Three. And if you want to be an overachiever and come up with 4 or 5, then do it. What are three things that you are sincerely, truly grateful for because of this person existing? They might be in your life, or they might be a famous person that's not necessarily in your life. Maybe you've never met them, but you just, they might be a politician, or they might be a guru, or they might be a teacher or whatnot. But what are three very specific things that you are sincerely, genuinely grateful for because of this person? Like, you either wouldn't know about something, or you wouldn't have met someone that's in your life that, wow, you have gratitude, maybe even deep gratitude. I know for me, I wouldn't have the people in my life. This one person for me gave me my soul family. I have to be grateful. I need to be grateful. For me, this person opened up a whole new world. Okay, I won't sing, but it's true. And so when I let that gratitude in, can you guess what happened? Can you guess? Well, if you've been watching the videos, then you already know, right? It melted that hard shell around my heart. And I started writing. And what I found when it comes to really tapping into the beautiful emotion of gratitude, I found that the more specific we get, the deeper we dive. So if you were to ask me, okay, Mandy, what are you grateful for because of this teacher? And I would say they brought the people in my life, so many friends, my soul family. There. If I would just say that, I may not feel it. But if I told you a story, one of my first boyfriend, I met my first boyfriend through this teacher. I met some of my closest friends who I invited to my wedding. One of my best friends who I have today, who he has opened up so many doors in my life. I wouldn't know him if it wasn't for this teacher. And so the more that you can get specific, the better. You know how you'll do anything for your children if you're a parent? So I'm not a parent, but I am an aunt. And I'm a very passionate aunt. I'm not like one of those aunts that just birthdays and holidays. No, if my nieces and nephews know that if they let me, I'll be a very engaged aunt. And so I looked at, okay, how has this teacher helped me with my niece, Savannah? I journaled about that. It's like, oh my gosh, when Savannah was going through this, I reached out to this person and this person helped me with Savannah, blah, blah, blah. How did this person help me with Kendall? How did this person, and so on. And I realized, wow. So if you can connect at all, you ever watch those mob movies? I used to, I don't anymore because I can't watch violence, but I do love the Italian culture. I just love it. I think I was Italian in my past life because the Italian culture, they're so passionate, right? And, and I love Robert De Niro. And if you watch any of those mobster movies, where they're what do they do when they want leverage? They take who is the closest to you. right? Who you care about most. I know I went dark fast, but it was the first example that came up. So you think about, okay, who's the closest to in your life? How has this person added value? And maybe they haven't. I know for me, I was able to connect those dots. Maybe you won't. Maybe you're different with that, but I wanted to give you that as an example. The more specific you can get, the better. I had a client where she realized that she'd actually be dead. I was like, whoa. I had a client where I remember I asked her that question, and I have a few clients who are, I call them long pausers, and I've learned just to be patient and let them pause. But this client is not a long pauser. In fact, I usually have to interrupt her because she's such a talker. I love her dearly, but she's a talker. And I remember asking her, what's one thing you're grateful for because of so-and-so? And then I thought like I might, like the phone might have gotten disconnected or something because it was such a long pause. I remember I said her name. She goes, oh my God. I go, what? She goes, Mandy, I'd be dead. And I went, what? She goes, yeah. And then she told me this story that she just put out of her mind. And this is what hate does. We hear about the power of love, right? I think there's even a song. There's lots of songs about the power of love. But we don't really think about the power of hate. Hate makes us have amnesia. I'm just going to say it. Hate makes us dumb. It does. It makes us dumb. It makes us forgetful. It makes us impulsive. And imagine the most like chatty Cathy. Imagine a personality like that. That's like ba 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 ba. That she just was like, I've judged so harshly this person. I've hated this person. And actually this person saved my life and I put it out of my mind. Because what happened was this person actually years ago, the person that my client hated actually called 911 for her and it saved her life. So she just put it out of her mind and she made this like warped story up. But the truth was, had this person not called 911, now most people in that person's shoes would have called 911. And that's why my client minimized it. Because she was like, well, most people would have called 911. I mean, she would have to be a psychopath to not call 911 because my client had an allergic reaction and this person was a coworker and was the closest to her. But she did. And she was the only one that was in the office and everything. And so it's like, if she wasn't in the office at all, then my client could have died. But my client minimized it so much that she even forgot about it. And she was like, oh my gosh, if that person wasn't alive, if she wasn't working in the office, I'd be dead. That's something to be grateful for, right? I didn't have that. I couldn't connect that dot, but I could connect so many other dots, so many people in my life, and so many things that I've learned, been exposed to. I've been exposed to cutting edge conversations around health that I never would have been exposed to had this teacher not entered my world, that were just definitely much more cutting edge and controversial, that I know has impacted my health and possibly could have saved my life. Possibly. There wasn't as an obvious one as my client, but I'm very grateful for that. And then for me, something that really melted a lot of my resentment and anger was this person gave me an opportunity at a very young age for me to step into my power that not very many people would have done. And I want to share something that came up for me during this exercise that might come up for you and has definitely come up for many of my clients. Not all of them, but for many of them, was shame for judging this teacher and having resentment towards this teacher. That again, I needed to go back to having self-compassion. And so just know that if something really beautiful comes up of like, I'm so grateful. And my client, that she just could not stand this coworker. In fact, she made me laugh really hard, which in a way, it wasn't the greatest thing to do for her because I was kind of like egging on her hatred because she was so funny. That's another thing that we could be about hating someone, is she was so funny about her judgment and hatred towards this person that she made it humorous. You know, it's like when someone makes fun of the president or a politician and they imitate them and we laugh. Like, yeah, there might be some truth in that, but it's also like, are we feeding that hatred? Or is it done with love or is it done with hatred, right? It's a different kind of humor. There's humor that's done with love, and then there's humor that's done with hatred. It's like light chocolate or dark chocolate. And hers was definitely dark chocolate, but it was funny. And it was, and I laughed. And then when she told me about her coworker saving her life, immediately shame followed. The same thing happened to me. So if this happens to you, I want to remind you about self-compassion. And I want to remind you that the part of you that judged this person, that held resentment towards this person, that part of you was created to help you survive. That part of you was trying to protect you. It's like that Richard Schwartz book, No Bad Parts, No Bad Parts. So that part of you that decided to make this person a villain and this person the bad guy, that part of you was simply trying to survive this really weird world that we did not get an instruction manual to, and that, you know, was already dysfunctional and already messed up before you got here. It's like that Billy Joel song, we didn't start the fire, it was always burning before the world was turning. Something like that. We didn't start the fire. So remember that. Remember that this cycle of judging and resentment and hatred and violence, it's like you got on the merry-go-round when you became human on planet Earth. And so you had to have those goggles to survive. And you may not completely comprehend that yet. You will. You stay in this conversation. You will. You'll connect the dots and be like, oh yeah, of course. Like I look back on me and I'm like, oh yeah, I totally had to, because I had so much that I had to process, and I had so much that I had to unlearn, and I had so much that I had to experience. My script had to go that way. So I have so much compassion for that, Mandy. And now I can kind of laugh at it with love. I'm excited for you to give yourself this gift of really accepting with gratitude the gifts that this person gave you. And even if you could just come up with one, okay? The goal is 3, but if this is hard for you, even if you could just come up with one, because I've had some clients where it was like, oh. So even if you could just come up with one, that is a great start. And I'd love to hear from you. You don't have to say who it is. You don't need to name names. In fact, I don't want you, especially like on YouTube and on comments, don't name names, but share, you know, what are you grateful for from this person? You might inspire someone else. So again, congratulations, day 15. I'll see you tomorrow for day 16. Thanks, friend. Take care.